This is not a very easy video for me to make, but I feel like I need to speak my truth authentically and speak out against what I feel like might probably be a mistake, or a lot of mistakes, depending on how you look at it. But first, this is going to be kind of a pessimistic video, and I want to start off kind of optimistically. Now, we're in so-called Nova Scotia. I take the Nova out a lot of the time because it seems like not a damn thing has changed in hundreds of years. But that's where we are. And speaking to other people in our province, you know, you know our government. And I don't want to suggest that they're nefarious. I want to be a little bit more optimistic, like I said. But at best, at best, our current Liberal government and most governments, the Dexter NDP for sure, and probably others before that, when I was a bit too young to be paying attention, they seem to be sluggish and almost, if not completely, ineffectual at best. Like, that is the best case perception that I can muster most optimistically about them being involved in a lot of issues and paying attention to politics for a decade and a half now, or a little longer. And I'm not speaking with no experience. I'm not saying that I've been a huge part of any of these things. A lot of the time, I've probably just been another body in the crowd kind of thing. But it's not like there haven't been a whole lot of causes that I've tried to help people hold our government to account on. Things like the entire breadth of what Occupy Nova Scotia was pushing for, which was an offshoot of the Occupy Wall Street protests in the States. You can look that up. It's it's a little bit ancient history at this point, but still relevant, kind of. But there's also the ongoing Alton gas struggle. Speaking of which, Chief, it'd be really nice if you could give those of us that are kind of more on the outside a bit of an update, because we haven't heard hardly a squawk about it. Also, the climate change protests, I've been at more of those than I can count. Fracking, I probably, of all the things, I probably helped out most with trying to help keep fracking out of our province and to address the wastewater ponds that were in Knoll and Kennecook. And I also went up to Elsipogtog. And omnibus bills, other miscellaneous causes. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that we protested in different ways, and one of those ways that we've demonstrated our dissatisfaction has been with highway protests. Some I feel more effective than others, but in general, I've got to. Some of them have their place. There are certain times where I think they have actually brought awareness to causes that really need awareness. Things like where a specific individual has had a injustice done to them or been killed. Like, I'm not saying highway protests are all in all bad. What I am saying is that we need to be a little bit more careful with how often we do them. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but and I probably should have said this at the start, but I have a lot of respect for almost actually everyone who is partaking in these actions. That's why it's not easy for me to be saying that we might be making a mistake by doing them, but I think we're making a hell of a mistake by doing them, because with most of these causes, especially the ones where we're trying to hold the government to account, we need public support. If we're not getting public support, all we're doing is asking for the government boot to get off our chests and to put that boot on the chests of other people that we disagree with. And I really don't think that is long term a sustainable and beneficial strategy for the causes that we feel so passionately about. And what kind of upset me and brought a lot of this stuff to the forefront was the Windsor Causeway Avon River demonstration that happened, I believe, on Monday. Yeah. I was planning to go participate in it and stand there on the highway with everybody. And I do actually regret not getting there earlier and being more of a part of it. But at the same time, I have to wonder, why is it that the government, through Department of Transportation and the RCMP, are being so accommodating to us having highway slowdowns? And to a lot of activists that I talk to, being one myself, I try and talk to others a hell of a lot. Quite a few of them look at them as a half-assed half measure on our part, not on the part of the RCMP and TIR. To some degree, it is nice that they're there to help maintain safety and security to some degree, make sure that motorists don't get so pissed off that they just decide to ram through us. On the other side, why is it that you think they're so eager to be so accommodating? I've got to wonder, because I don't think it's because they're on our side at all. And I'm not saying we should expect them to be, I'm just saying that we should be a little bit skeptical. I think using the highway protest strategy, this isn't the worst aspect of it, but it diverts us from actions that could be more effective. I'm not going to list them all out right now. We should have a brainstorming session sometime. But there are other things that we could be doing that are more effective than slowing down everyone on the highway. A total shutdown would be a show of strength. I doubt, I'm not going to say government through those organizations that are referenced wouldn't back us, but I doubt they would be so accommodating. But at least a full shutdown would be a show of strength. It would be a means to force things to happen differently until, in this case, the fish are allowed to swim through the Avon River uninterrupted, not through a tiny little bottleneck that looks like a cheese grater and is open for like 6 minutes a day. But I think the worst aspect by comparison here is that we need public support. We need to be educating people on just how ass backwards and diversionary these governments that assert their rule over us actually are. We don't want to be pushing people to the other side with our actions. And that's kind of what I think that we're actually doing. I'm pulling these numbers, in full disclosure, completely out of my ass right now. But imagine out of 100% of the people that get slowed down on the highway, also, if you've ever been caught in a slowdown that you don't agree with, chime in the comments, try and be somewhat respectful, but let us know your feelings, because I don't think anybody has ever been in a highway slowdown. The only people that aren't, at the very least, bothered by a highway slowdown and being obstructed for 10, 15, 30 minutes, however long it is, are the people that are already on side with us. So I think whenever one of these events happens, there's probably about 20% of people who are on side with us already and agree. Do what's best for the fish and the ecology. Doesn't matter if it costs a little bit more or if we have to change our plans. We should be protecting the natural ecology and the environment. There's probably another 20% of people who are like, fuck you, government should do what government is doing. And then I think there's 60-ish, probably more, because like I said, numbers are coming completely out of my ass, and I think they're probably a little high on the end of people that actually have a stance. But say there's 60% of people that are either completely apathetic to what's going on and don't care and just want to get through the highway to wherever their destination happens to be, or people that are on the fence. I think that's probably 60-ish, probably a little more. And I don't think anybody goes through a highway slowdown and thinks, wow, that changed my mind. And I completely think that these demonstrators are right and want the best for them. I just don't think that happens nearly as often as people being like, this is fucked. I disagree with it completely, and now I kind of hope that they don't get whatever it is that they're pushing for. I think that is a hell of a lot more likely, and try not to laugh too much, but I think it's kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. And we need to be educating and providing value to people through demonstrating just how not transparent these governments are. Because if you've been working on any of these causes, you know what I'm talking about, and you know that a lot of the time it's just a shell game, or government being like, this isn't our fault, go to this other department. Sometimes you just get caught in a triangle of people shoving off responsibility to the next person. And I don't think that trying to get government to not be so fucked to us by having them stamp down on other people is effective. I think the strategy that we're seeing where police are accommodating our slowdowns, probably not our shutdowns, like I said, but the slowdowns, really just makes people think that the system is on side with the Mi'kmaq when it really overall is not. And that kind of pushes people the other way. This is longer and more rambly than I hoped it would be, but I just think we need to think a little more critically about our tactics, because as great as these gatherings are, it's an opportunity for us all who think similarly to get together, hug each other. Maybe not in COVID times, but you know, these things have been going on for a long time. I just got to question how helpful they actually are. A full shutdown might not be much more helpful either. It might piss people off too, but at least it's a show of strength. It's not, oh, these environmentalists and Mi'kmaq people have the RCMP in their back pocket and they get to shut down the highway whenever they want. It breeds resentment, and you can see through the comments every single time we have one of these things, people are posting nasty shit on social media. Even if they, like, there are often comments that are like, I kind of agree, but I really hate the tactic. And we can't be, like, we really can't afford to be pushing these people away. We need them on our side. I know a lot of people just think that if government can be swayed to do the right thing, it's all butterflies and rainbows, but it's not. As far as I'm concerned, that just kind of makes the people who, say, in the Windsor situation, might be inconvenienced by having free flow of water, maybe increased flooding. I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing, but as far as I know, that's pretty much the reasoning they have for building the causeway in the way that they do. They want to prevent flooding. It just makes people that much more eager to be engaged in favor of the shitty government that anybody who's been fighting for the fish, against natural gas, for the moose, for the forests, against clear cutting. We can all see how much this government really doesn't give a fuck about us. And we need people to understand that more, not be under misimpressions that the government is actually on our side when it's not. So like I said, sorry this is now slightly over 15 minutes, but I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments section, especially if you're some kind of demonstrator or environmentalist or anything like that. If I'm far off base, let me know. But if I'm not, just, yeah, thoughts in the comments. Hopefully, we can all do better. We're all kind of tired, but these issues don't seem to be going away. Like I said, an update on the whole Alton gas situation would be prime if we could get one of those from somebody. And yeah, keep fighting the good fights, but let's be a little smarter about it.